Hey y'all, welcome to Like and Love, the Marriage Chronicles. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Marcia.
So this is our inaugural recording on the eve of our 21st anniversary.
Yay, it's our anniversary. Yeah,
Made for you and me. So we just really excited to start this. This has been a dream of mine for quite some time, and initially I was supposed to come out with a man's podcast, and when I dragged my feet on it, uh, people start telling me, say, "Hey, you guys should do a marriage podcast." And I was like, "Yeah, we got a good marriage, but I don't think anybody wants to hear about it, you
right.
know." But as time went on, people said, "Hey, you guys talk about each other all the time.
Yeah,
We like what we're hearing,
yeah,
and we think other people will want to hear it."
yeah.
So
Welcome
here we
to
are.
the Like and Love the Marriage Chronicles podcast.
Yep, episode 1.
Yay.
So just to give you guys a little behind the scenes, there is no script. We're talking off the heart. You know, how people say, "I'm coming off the dome." No, we coming off the heart,
Right.
and that is how we actually lived our entire marriage, off the heart. So I think when you think about something too much, I don't know, it just becomes weird. So basically, doing it off the heart is better for me. I'm not going to speak for you know.
Yeah, I'm a little different. I do like to plan, so I have a little bit of an outline. But we thought that the first thing that we should share is talking about how did
How we
we
met.
meet? Because people ask us that all the time. So I'll let you start, Matthew. How did we meet?
We labeled or titled this show Not Your Usual Suspects because, people meet in cliche places all the time. Oh, I met him at the grocery store, or I met her at the gas station, or we were, at the movies and we locked eyes and we knew that wasn't us.
That wasn't
That
us.
wasn't us.
That wasn't us. I had been single for a long time, probably like 3, 4 years.
But that adds to the unusuality of how we met.
Okay.
So, to get into the heart of it, there was a couple that lived in Clarksville, and we'll give you their names when we get permission. But she worked with a wife,
Mm-hmm.
and I worked with a husband.
Mm-hmm.
And for months, they kept saying, "Hey, there's somebody I think you should meet."
Yeah, for about 6 months, she kept telling me, I have somebody I want you to meet. And I was like, no, I'm good. Everybody, when you're single and ladies, you've gotten into your routine and you're like, I'm cool. I'm all right. I'm done.
And when I met her, was on the tail end of a doozy,
Mm.
bad relationship, and I was just not feeling it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had moved out of Clarksville, Tennessee. I moved to Nashville for a job, and I was just living the single life, and I wasn't trying to meet anybody.
Yeah. So I think after, again, it was about 6 months of badgering. And one of my other coworkers was like, why don't you just go? What is it going to hurt if you just go? Like, this may be a funny story that you can tell your grandkids one day. And I was like, okay, it's
Or
not
it might
that
turn into a podcast.
not that serious, right? And so I finally was like, okay, I will go, but let's do lunch. Lunch is during the day. In case he was a serial killer or something, it was during the day.
Wow.
And I said, you will have to go with us. And so she was like, okay. And so we came up with a location where we were going to go. And she calls me and she's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. And I'm like, well, if you don't go, I'm not going to go. And she said, okay, I'm going to try to make it, but I might be late. So this is the place where I used to work and I never took lunch breaks. And so me leaving the building and actually taking a lunch break was a very different thing. So I had to hurry up and get back and I was on a very, very limited time. So what were you doing?
I was stuck in traffic.
Even before Nashville was
So
growing.
if anybody knows Nashville and Murfreesboro Pike during lunchtime,
Yeah.
it is a parking lot.
Yeah. Okay, so we're at the restaurant. We met at a Chinese restaurant on Murfreesboro Road, which is no longer there. And so I walk into the restaurant and I see the husband. and I see a gentleman sitting with the husband, and he was not what I was expecting. I was like, this is not who I thought they were going to bring. I am like, oh, I hope this is not the person. That's what I'm thinking in the back of my mind. So I politely go to the table, and, I smile, and the husband introduces, the gentleman, and he did not say Matthew's name. So now I'm like, okay, I could take a deep breath. This is not Matthew. This is not the person that they're trying to connect me with. So it is one of those Chinese buffet places. And he's like, well, Matthew, is on the way. So again, I can't be gone very long. I have to get back to my job. So
But God
it's a
had to stay
buffet.
there.
And I went ahead and fixed my plate and started eating.
Yeah,
So
I was mad late. I was in the parking lot,
right.
and I finally get there, and I see this one across the room, and I was like, she's cute. So I go over first and greet my friend. Hey, man, what's up? What's up? And he was like, man, there she is over there. I said, well, yeah, I can see her. So he goes, well, what do you think? What do you think? I said, she's cute, man. So we get there and we introduce one another. Hey, I'm Matthew, and I had on my uh, uh my retail outfit, and I was very neat and trim. My shirt was tucked in, and so I was work clean,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And so we sat there, and it was mostly quiet.
Yeah.
We had a couple of questions,
Very
and
small talk.
so we get to the end of the lunch,
Because I have to
and
leave. I need
and
to get back.
and we're saying our goodbyes or whatever. So she gets up, and her friend gets up with her, and they go to the door to leave.
Yeah.
So they were there chit chatting, and I see her do this, and she leaves. I was like, what the heck was that? So she comes back to the table. She goes, hey, she said she liked you. You were nice or whatever. And here's her card.
Yes. So
So she gives me a card. I'm going to tell this part of the story.
okay.
She gives me a card, and it's the place where she works with her work number.
Correct. So
And she says that guys are stalkers. Women can be stalkers too.
They can be.
Or creepy.
They
So
can be.
I'm
So
just clearing that up. I'm not creepy.
okay, so this was millennials who are listening. This was the days before cell phones. We've been married a long time, so you didn't have cell phones back then.
I had a cricket.
Okay, well, you had cell phones were not as popular as they are right now. I didn't have a cell phone, and so
I love my cricket.
that's why I gave him my work number. Of course, I didn't want him to have my home number. And this was Memorial Day weekend. And I think, did we meet on that Thursday or that Friday? So I don't remember. So just know that I'm not going to be at work again for another couple of days. And so go home, have the weekend, and I get back to work and that Tuesday after Memorial Day, and he called and he left a voicemail.
So, they say when you know, you know. I really didn't know, but I wanted to find out. So I played myself and called the work number, like she thinks she was all that in a bag of chips, whatever. So I called her. And I would say the rest is history, but there are some things along the way.
Many things along the way.
But to give you some insight into future episodes, it was worth it. As you can see, we're here. But yeah, I called the work number. And I said, I had a nice time. I didn't compliment her, I don't think. I just said we had a nice time, and I think we should hang out.
Yeah.
So before we get too far further into this, if you're looking, if you're wanting to a relationship, don't count out the weird things. Don't count out the quirky things or things that you're not used to of going by meeting somebody, because you might miss your husband or your wife.
Right.
And the reason I say weird is because our friends are eclectic.
Very eclectic. And I was like, they don't.
Super nice, super real people.
Love them.
But they're eclectic.
Sounds like they don't know anybody that I would like.
They don't know anybody that I would want to meet.
That's what I was saying. They don't know anybody I want to meet at all. But again,
y'all know who you are, and y'all gonna be on here, and y'all gonna say why.
What you saw in us that made you think that we would go great together. So yeah, it it was a nice, it was definitely a pleasant surprise. He left the voicemail. I called him back, and I don't know if y'all still do this, but we laid, on the phone for
You
a
sleep.
couple of
I ain't sleep.
hours.
You sleep.
Just the conversation just flowed so naturally, and we just kept talking from there. And so it was really a foundation of, I like this
I
person.
like her.
He's really cool. He has a lot of different things to
And the
say.
guy that you see on here, the real dude, is the dude that she got then.
Yeah, there was no pretenses, and I think that was so refreshing because you know how people always say you meet the representative first, but yeah, he has been
She met me.
what we see right here the entire time, and so that was definitely a good thing, and felt very safe from the very beginning. But again, it was like, this, he's cool, and so it wasn't any kind of trying to be slick or trying to finesse me in any kind of way.
As
So
I said, I had
yeah,
came out of a bad
yeah,
relationship
yeah,
and I was over it.
yeah. So I mean, again, it was just really cool, and it was just the basis of, I just like him. So if it's not anything that happens romantically, because I wasn't even thinking romantically from the very beginning. You said it twice.
I said it 3 times.
Okay, so they know now. So again, what Matthew said is that sometimes you have to be open to that. You may meet people in unusual places.
If you're not a bowler, go bowling.
Go bowling, and just go do something different.
Go
Try
go
something
walk
new.
down by the creek. The
Right.
man could be fishing down there.
Just try something different. Be open. Don't get so constrained. I know people tell you to have all these lists, and this is what I want, and people have 100 and 200 things
You're
on the
gonna list
list.
yourself out of a relationship.
But just, of course, you definitely want to have those core values that are important to you. You want to have those non-negotiables, but take your blinders off and really just see somebody for who they are. They may not be packaged in the way that you think that they're going to be, but are they truly a genuine person, a kind
The
person, just
person
somebody that
that
you like?
and one of the core values that we shared is the love of Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
And one of our first dates
Was
was
church.
church,
Yeah. So that was a good thing.
you know. And to segue, God has a way of leading you
Yeah.
into your destiny.
Yeah.
And mine was a bad relationship. And but I did it myself, so I can't be too mad because, you know, I was trying to be macadocious or matadocious. And, I stepped up in the place and spotted her and took her. Well, I got what I took. So God has a way of making you be still long enough to realize what he has for you and what you actually want. And at the time I was getting ready to meet her, there were other sideline potentials that just did not interest me at all.
So he had a roster, huh?
I didn't have a roster because somebody had to tell me that the roster chicks was even checking for me.
Okay. All right.
So so once she came into the picture, it was like the blinders to everything else because of how smooth everything went, and there was no, you know, hey, I'm Darquisha, and blah, blah. No, I'm Marcia. I go to work. You can't get my phone number. Here's my card,
Yeah.
and I'm out.
They like to chase, so I made a little chase. But even our very first our dates that we went on were not
Don't
like
believe her. She chased
romantic
me,
romantic dates. They were,
man.
we hung out at the park, we went and walked around the
Because
mall. So it
so,
wasn't like,
so
let's
to
go to
back this
dinner.
up, both of us have 2 boys
We
at
do.
the time.
We do.
They men's now, so we did family stuff.
Yeah.
Like she said, the park, the mall, um, church.
Well, and let me just back up for a minute, because I know single mothers, it's like, I don't introduce my kids to somebody that early. And so I did not
That's
introduce
another
him
episode.
I did not introduce him to my kids as this is my potential boyfriend. This was, hey, this is Matthew. He has two boys. They're close to your age. So let's all go meet at the park and hang out. So, what was really cool about that is that it allowed us to see each other as parents. How do we interact with our kids? And again, it
The date
wasn't,
play date
yeah. So
or the play date date.
it wasn't about like the romantic part of it. It gave us the opportunity again to just build that foundation of friendship, which was really, really cool. So ordinarily, no, I would not have introduced my sons to, a gentleman that I was, entertaining.
I'm
But
a gentleman
this was, a different
of
situation.
distinction.
And again, it was just a friendship. And so it was really cool.
So to add on to that, going back to the topic of not, not your usual suspects, I knew I liked her, really liked her when we played a goofy game. And our goofy game was we would go to the mall and we would see people walking into the mall. And based on what that person looked like, we gave them names, you know. So, for instance, I used to get called Anthony a lot,
Hmm.
even though I would tell them my name is Matthew. Or I would
Hmm.
email them my name, Matthew, and I would get back Anthony.
Hmm.
So if you would see her in the mall, you would say, hey, she looks like an Angela, you know. So we would sit there and like, hey, he looks like a Robert,
Or just make up
We
stories
would just,
about people, just people watching.
yeah. So we would just people watch and make up names and stories for people. And somebody who shared the goofiness I did, I knew she was a keeper. And she did something while we were walking the mall. Our kids were, walking down in front of us. And I said, hey, this dude looks like so and so, and he sells corn chips out of the back of a truck or something. And she bumped me with her hip. And you know how people get the little hearts popping over their head? That was me. She
Hmm.
bumped me with her hip, and I just could have ran away with her that day. But I couldn't because we had kids, and I
Aw.
didn't want to get arrested. So
Aw. But yeah, again, everything was just the basis of fun. That's sweet, baby. You do always say that. And it's funny how just something that small was the click for you. So
yeah,
it took a little longer for me. I was a little bit more
hesitant.
cautious.
Hence the business card.
Just right. I was just a little more cautious, but he was definitely all in. And I had a very good friend and coworker and church member, and she and her husband were, always counseling me because they were married, and I really loved their marriage. And I was like, I met this guy, and I think he may be talking about like marriage, and he loves me and stuff. And I was like, whoa, I may have to back off of this. And the husband was like, God ain't gonna tell you. God is gonna tell him that's your, he's your wife, and so he's your husband. And so he's like, just lean into it and take it slow and see what happens. And so I did. It was, I was a little scared. I did have some talks with my best friends. Like, I don't know, he's too good to be true. And it was kind of like waiting for the other shoe to drop, because Matthew truly is a nice guy
She got both shoes.
of value. And so yeah, it was just really, really cool. Do you see what I have to put up with? But anyway, I think
That's
we
why she
are
likes me.
nearing the end of these episodes. We want to keep them really short and sweet
Yep.
so
We
that
don't
you
want to
can
lose
just,
anybody.
yeah, just so you can listen to them in the car, or you're doing a quick walk or something. But just want to share things that we have learned, things that we have experienced. We have always loved each other. And has always been there as well. But sometimes it's like, I don't know if I like you today.
Yeah.
Or not gonna say that I don't like you. I just didn't like what you did today. So we will talk about some of those things and how we have navigated many different obstacles and situations throughout the years. And so hang
Many.
in here with us. As you can tell, humor is something that we
It gets
definitely
funnier.
enjoy.
It gets realer. It gets lovelier and likelier.
And so join
Is
us
that a word?
on our social media pages. We will link those things below. And we also have a website where you can go and you can leave us some feedback. And so we can feature some of your feedback and what do you think about liking and loving your spouse. We would love to hear what you all do to incorporate those things into your relationship. So, Matthew, what's something that you like about me this week?
Well, before I get into that, I just want to say before we close this thing out, um, I just thought it was a sin not to tell people how good God is when it comes to marriage, that He gave us this union and we don't tell anybody about it. Because I think part of praising God is the testimony.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get on here and get to testify of God's goodness when it
Yeah.
comes to marriage.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's an individual thing that He blesses us in, so we can be better as a union.
Yeah.
So to answer her question, one of the things that I like about her is she can hold an intelligent conversation without getting frustrated and not having to run away from the actual conversation. That is really overrated. Guys, girls, gals, women, men, that you have a conversation with somebody and you can't fully express yourself because you don't want to look at your mate and have the puzzled look on their face. She can hold a conversation. She's a multi-degreed woman, but that does not explain her intelligence. That doesn't justify her intelligence. So I like one of the things I like about her is not only is she goofy, but she can have a intelligent conversation. So same question to you. What do you
Okay.
like about the man, the myth, the legend?
So, what I like about Matthew is his intentionality. He really studies me, pays attention to me, like things that I say. It could be a look on my face. It could even be just something that I'm thinking about, but because he knows me so well, he can just pick up on things. And, ladies will be like, I'm fine, I'm good,
If
but
y'all know that sound, you old as me.
yeah, he won't let those things go. And so this week was, I just had a challenging day. You know how things are happening at work, and you just have, decision fatigue. And it's just like, I don't want to answer one more question. I don't want to talk to one more person. Again, just, us trying to figure out this
It was a
podcast.
challenge to get this set up today.
Yeah,
Yep.
we
So
had, we got grown kids, we got, aging parents, we got all kind of stuff. But anyway, he goes outside and we have two beautiful rose bushes. And so he goes out there and he picks two lovely roses for me and
should have
puts
had him
them
up
in a
here
vase and just presents them to me because he knew that it was going to put a smile on my face. I
because
really love
sometimes
flowers.
you have to make them divert from what they're thinking,
Yeah,
even if it's just for 30 seconds.
yeah.
You
So,
know, hey, I'm thinking about you.
yeah.
It don't have to be anything big, you know,
No, it was the thought that counts.
but
So
that is part of liking and loving your mate.
it is.
So, with
So
that being said,
this is the first
this is the
episode.
first episode.
Thank you all for listening. We appreciate you.
And I want to say in advance to my wife, happy anniversary, which is tomorrow.
Yay!
So we're kicking this thing off on the eve of our anniversary. So here from lovely Springfield, I'm Matthew,
I'm Marcia.
and we thank you guys for joining us. Hope to see you again soon. Thanks.
Bye bye.